Full disclosure, you might want to watch this video all the way to the end. The question, and this is actually a video I did a little while before, it was the end of May, I think, when I did this video. It was before NIO had their first quarter earnings. That's important. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But this is how I started the video. NIO Profitability Quarter 2. I'm calling it right now. Not so fast. Hold on. Let's hit the pause button. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you. Here's my question for you as a viewer. Did you watch that video? And here's an equally important, maybe even more important question. If you watched that video, did you watch it all the way to the end and pay attention to all the dots? See, here's what I noticed. And this is something that this is pretty common actually. This is the engagement. And on that particular video, the average view duration is shown here, about 4 minutes and 19 seconds. Now, if we come back to the video, I want to point something out. I created these timestamps. The reason I've been doing this, especially recently, is when a content creator on YouTube has an 8-minute or longer video, there are often ads put into the videos. This is something that once you're monetized, you can do. And to make it cleaner, simpler, easier, and more convenient, frankly, for my viewers, I create timestamps in these longer videos so that people can jump through, don't have to watch all the way through. But I hope they do. And sometimes maybe it's just me being curious, wondering who's really paying attention or who's actually going to watch to the end. I'll do what I did in this video. The final dot. I've got first dot, second dot, third dot, fourth, fifth, and then I talk about some other stuff and then finish with the final dot at the end. And what I've got is the final dot, 47 JAC margins, expenses, other revenue. All these things matter for NIO to have a profitable quarter. But if we look back at the analytics and note that the average view duration means a lot of viewers didn't make it to that point, I guess my question is how many people just made a presumption about the video and the content without actually watching to the end. And now you know why I said at the beginning of this video, you might want to watch to the end. I've actually got something I'm going to share, but I've got to build up to it. So first, let's talk about why I actually don't care if NIO doesn't show profitability in the second quarter. In fact, the longer term prospects, I'm more excited now because, as I mentioned before, we hadn't had the first quarter earnings yet. And so I didn't get to hear any of this from William Lee. Mr. EQ is what I call him. He gave us some breadcrumbs, and I like that. It's like connecting the dots. So let's do it right now. Here's what I caught. And I'm going to share these 3 or 4 points and then summarize with what I think I'm now recognizing in William Lee, Mr. EQ, as I call him, and how he's viewing profitability. The first one is, and this is in the Q&A for those who want to jump, and I'll share all the links for this stuff so you can check it out for yourselves. He says, regarding the break-even target for the NIO brand, our target is still the same. That is to realize the monthly source volume of 30,000 units with a vehicle margin of around 20%. And then we will be breaking even with the core business of the NIO brand in China. All right. So that's like a dot. Let's go on to the next one. We expect the vehicle margin will return to double digits in quarter 2 and continue to improve in quarter 3 and 4. Now, this is related to when NIO is going to show profits and all that stuff, those factors that I mentioned before, things like the buyout of the JAC factory and how the vehicle margins overall look and improve. Look, if there's a net gain per vehicle and the sales are going up, that's like it's at least a 2x probably. But I don't want to get too hung up in the details. Concept is the key. This is the overview that I'm trying to take. I just want to point out why these dots matter in my mind and why I'm watching them. So moving forward, let's see if this happens. Next dot. Right now, for the break-even point of a single power substation, it's around 60 swaps per day. And if you look at our current power swap service, every day on average, we offer around 100,000 power swaps with around 2,000 stations. It means that for each station on average, they are already providing around 30 swaps per day. So for the longer term, we do see a viable roadmap for the sustainability and also the profitability of our power swap business. Not to mention that we can also leverage the revenues contributed by the energy storage and also the flexible battery upgrade of the power swap. So we've got another dot, and this one is related to NIO Power, right? Next dot. For Onvo, realizing a margin of above 15% is also a reasonable and triple target for us in the longer term. For Onvo brand to break even, its monthly sales volume should be at least 20 to 30,000 units per month. Before I go any further, I want to hit pause and tell you what I think I'm hearing and seeing here. This is the view that William Lee has, is NIO has all these other businesses, and he is already getting a sense of what every single business within this holding company that is NIO needs to get to profitability. So my take, if I step back further away and look at this over the long haul, let's talk about something like NIO Life. And the teaser is coming at the end. But NIO Life is one of these basically businesses that eventually can make its own profits. So am I more excited about NIO with its longer term, bigger picture overview with all their sub brands, with the phone, with the chip, with all the technology, the EVs? We don't even know how many businesses NIO can have. And also, here's the other point that I'd like to make, and it's relative to one of the things I've been very bullish on with NIO and William Lee, and the way he brilliantly leverages partnerships. If he can partner with more entities and or create more companies and businesses as a result of this, this means they can have a bigger global footprint as a holding company. So things shift a little bit, I think, when you step away and look at NIO as a holding company with businesses within the holding company that it is building out. Now, the reason I've got this pulled up on screen is this is a 5-minute highlight of NIO in 2024. And there are a few of the really good content creators have already talked about this and covered this, but this is a nice 5-minute overview with English subtitles. So I'll share this link in the description for those who haven't seen it. And just keep in mind, I guess the way I'm looking and thinking about things now is if NIO is a holding company and they're developing all of these things out and they have the potential to have all these as separate businesses, then wow, especially if he's already sort of getting an idea of where each business and sort of entity on its own can get to profitability. I'm okay waiting longer, I guess, is my takeaway, and the big picture overview, because that appears to be his lens, his view. Now, here we go. Here's the teaser. If you stuck around, this is a post from Jason Yu. And Jason shares great stuff. This is NIO Life. I mentioned it before. NIO Life is essentially e-commerce business. And for those who don't know, there are 2 points that I want to make relative to this. First off, I was curious. So I got in the comments and there were 6 negative comments about NIO doing this. And there were 2 positive. And so I think this is, the numbers are small. I get it. This is a pretty small sample size, but you know, this basic market research, if we extrapolate that out, how many investors really understand the depth of NIO as a holding company and the value that it offers? And so here's now the second point. The e-commerce business, a quick look, it appears that the Chinese e-commerce business, they did over $2 trillion in 2023. It's bigger than the US already, and it could double in the next 10 years. So I guess my question is, why wouldn't NIO want to be positioned to get a piece of that? And that is NIO Life. So again, if you separate things out and look at them as separate businesses and then say, okay, well, what if it does take more time because they're building out all these different businesses, some of which will benefit the others indirectly and later directly? To me, it's a no-brainer. This company looks better than ever, but that's me and that's my take. And it doesn't matter what I think. If it's your money, you got to decide what works for you. So I want to hear from others on this. What are your thoughts with this? Does it make sense to you? I'm so curious, and I'm really curious what's going to happen in the second quarter earnings call where we've got the new CFO. Is NIO, does William Lee want to surprise us in this? Is it possible that they could surprise with profitability? I don't know, but either way, even if they don't, I'll come back and I'll do a video and talk about why I was wrong or why I did what I did, which was kind of nestle that in the end to see who would watch to the end. And I don't know how many did or didn't. The average viewer did not. And I know I have some viewers who are certainly not average. So I know some did watch to the end, but if you watch to the end of this one, click the like button and drop a like finger in the comments so that I know you watched to the end. Thanks. Have a great day. See y'all again very soon.